EMS is a engineering manufacturing company. We've been trading since 1995. So it's been quite a journey for us right the way through to obviously 2024-25. Quite a lot of changes in the past 24 months. So what we actually are finding and still finding is the business is growing at such a rapid rate. So we've had to move premises already. So within the last 12 months, we've implemented a new system and we've moved premises. So I think there's only one other upheaval, and then that's it. We've done like 3 big upheavals kind of thing. So yeah, it's been a great journey, to be honest. So EMS manufactures ram pumps. Ram pumps form part of a process within the sewage treatment industry, and also now diversifying into the biogas market. So again, same manufacturer, same pump, just different process, but predominantly EMS are manufacturers of sludge pumps for pumping facilities. EMS decided to look into a different package. One, because we'd predominantly been using an accounting package previously, which was Sage 50, which for the turnover level of the business at the time was absolutely perfect. EMS was probably a 3 million turnover business, and we were able to manage all that information within Sage 50. So that would include stock control, obviously your suppliers, your customers, your cash, and your general ledger, your accounting side of it. What we did find as the business started to grow, the information was becoming, it wasn't giving us enough visibility on the information that we required, the reporting that we required, the control that we required. So we decided to have a look into changing systems, seeing what was out there. And obviously the best transition for us would be to stay with Sage, because everybody was pretty familiar with Sage as a package. But what we didn't know was what we needed at the level that we were at. So really that was the whole point of looking at a system. 1, for management reporting purposes, 2, for control, and 3, basically for just better visibility on a daily basis of where the business was at, because it's growing at such a fast rate that we just couldn't keep on top of that information. And Sage 50 was handling it, but there was a lot of intervention from spreadsheets, so exporting data, spreadsheets, manipulation of data, a lot of human input, which in turn gave a lot of human error also. EMS contacted Sage initially because what we thought initially was we'd just be buying a package and we'd have to implement everything with the support of Sage in the background. Sage put us in touch with itas, with the itas being a partner, and we had an initial conversation of what our requirements were, and then a more in-depth discussion about what the requirements were, and it was identified that we needed to move on to Sage 200. 1, because of its manufacturing capabilities. 1, because we deal with a lot of components that have subcomponents, so bill of materials. And 2, again, because of the visibility of the data and the reporting requirements that we wanted, Sage 200 seemed to be the best fit. The stock issues that we were having on Sage 50 was the control of stock in the subcomponent form. Because there was no planning facility in Sage 50, everything was having to be done manually. And because you can't allocate any form of a sub-component process to a sales order, the lead times were very difficult to keep on top of for our customers, because as we were growing, obviously you've got more components within processes, and it was very, very hard to know where those processes were up to at a certain point. And we were finding that we were falling behind on lead times, again, because of lack of visibility, because that was the main issue for EMS, was the lack of visibility in key data. Although the data was correct, it was the visibility and the reporting requirements that weren't enough for us. And also, again, it was pulling the reports out of Sage 50 to look at our stock holding, where we were at a certain point. And again, because we couldn't allocate subcomponents, we could only allocate at finished component phase, we were losing that control over our jobs. The benefits of moving to Sage 200, I'll predominantly talk about stock. But the immediate visibility for us was having a BOM module, a bill of materials module. So we could actually segregate the subcomponent parts of the bill of materials from our main stock and see that as a separate module on its own. And what we actually changed was, because we build a pump, we've never had a pump as a bill of materials, and at the end of the day, a pump consists of a bill of materials. You have to actually have all your components coming through into the works as goods in to enable you to manufacture that pump. And what we've actually done on Sage 200 now is each pump is a bill of materials. So we know that we can't send that out the door until we've got every component within that bill of materials. So we know where we're at. Everything's in one place. So straight away, we can see at what point that pump builds at and where our parts are. What we're looking to do as we move forward is to actually have a full material resource planning system there with lead times in for the products, so we can forecast even better. Because again, going from a £3.5 million company to a 7 million company within 24 months has come with major challenges. The elevation level, the reporting has got so much better. The data that we've been producing from those reports has been a lot more valid, and in turn it's given our head office a lot more confidence in the data that we've been providing. What we've also found as well is we are meeting our lead times a lot better for our customers, and obviously meeting the lead times brings confidence to our customers that we're going to deliver their product on time, so it doesn't affect their processes, because as you can well imagine, the processes for the water treatment industry are pretty critical. If you've got to be on site for a certain date, because obviously it's going to be a big project, they're going to want to know that we can deliver as per that project schedule, and we can actually categorically state we can deliver because we know where all our parts are. Sage 200 has changed our lead times for the better, because we've got visibility of the subcomponents and where they are in that process. So if we look at the BOM module as a whole, we can look at the pump, we can look at our parts, and we can say that part should take X amount of weeks to come in. And we know straight away if we're on target, because we're obviously constantly talking to suppliers to make sure that the suppliers meet those lead times, and we can visibly see where we're at. We can see what parts have come in, we can see what parts have been issued and allocated to the pumps in preparation for build, and we can then see that we're definitely on target to meet lead times. Also, if there is any reason why we're not going to meet that deadline date, then we can contact our customer well in advance so it doesn't cause any issues within their project schedule, which again is key. Feedback is key from us to our customer, and obviously it's feedback for them, for their site and their customers, etc. We've definitely seen a benefit on how Sage 200 responds to the data that we're inputting. It's a lot quicker. The reports are a lot more tailored. The way that we can manipulate the data to get the information out is so much better. What I do like about Sage 200 personally, I can probably speak on behalf of my team, is you can export things. And when you export that data, that's great. You can manipulate it in Excel if need be, but you've also got the Excel reporting behind that, to be honest, gives me everything I need. The reporting in Sage 200, first of all, we couldn't believe how many reports were there, to be honest. There was a report for everything. And what I found was, because we do use Excel a lot, and obviously we have to feed a lot of our data into head office templates, we could just export that. What I do like about the reports is the visibility and the information that it's pulling through. And you can obviously change the reports to suit your business, whether that be pulling in different segments from different modules. But the Excel reporting has been a lot better, and the fact that you can get it into Excel, manipulate it, update it if needs be, gives us live reports as of today, which is what we need, especially for stock holding. I mean, I know I talk about stock holding again, but especially for the stock holding, we can see where we're at straight away. Our head office have always wanted us to move from Sage 50. When we actually came on board with them, they didn't really know what packages we had. As long as we produced the information, that was fine. But the fact that we are now able to produce more valid information, detailed information, and in turn going forward we'll be able to use the MRP system a lot better. They are really pleased with that, because what they were seeing was we had a lot of stock, our stock holding was high, and they were wondering why the stock holding was so high, but it was because we couldn't actually give them a figure of what was allocated to jobs. And now they're happy, because obviously they see that we've not just got stock sat on the shelf sitting there doing nothing. They're actually seeing that the stock that we are holding is in process. And because our pumps can take anything up to, anything beyond 12 weeks to manufacture, depending on the size of our pumps, they were sort of seeing components coming in the early stages and thinking, why have we got so much stock? But now we can actually say, well, we've got this much stock, and as you can see, of that value, this is all allocated as work in progress. So they're really pleased with that. The cash reporting they're really pleased with, because we can do cash flows. The payment processes are a lot more simpler than we had before. The accuracy of the information that we're producing and passing on to them has been a lot quicker and a lot more valid. So obviously they're very, very pleased with that. Yes, we've changed our purchasing process from actually posting direct invoices into Sage 50. What we didn't use in Sage 50 was the purchase order processing module. We were using the purchase order processing module just for raising purchase orders, and then using the supplier module just for posting purchase invoices. So there was a disconnect. So again, going back to the reporting, we used to have to pull out information from one module, pull out information from another module, create an Excel spreadsheet with lookup tables to try and match purchase orders with invoices to create a GRNI if need be. So obviously now we've moved on to using the purchase order processing module, which was again a learning curve for the team, because that was a whole new process, because they'd never actually done it this way. That's so much better, because we're not having to create manual GRNIs, because we can pull a report from the system, and we also don't have to do spreadsheets to say what purchase invoices have been goods receipted, have we received an invoice for them? So the process on that has been a great change. My month end now, where it used to take probably a good day to do the GRNI preparation and make sure that you weren't actually missing anything, takes about 2 hours, if that. So that's a time saving thing that's really, really beneficial for us. So although I talk about the stock, on the actual purchase order processing, purchase invoice side, that's been a real help on that side as well. And what was another impact of wanting us to change systems as well was because we've now got stringent deadlines with being part of a group. Prior to that, the deadlines weren't as tight, so we had a bit of breathing space there, but now they are tight. To be honest, we still keep everything as we were process-wise, EMS process-wise, but the purchase invoice posting is a lot quicker. We now know that if we hit a deadline, we can literally just pull a report off and say, these are the purchase orders that have been goods receipted. Let's just put an adjustment in the accounts to make sure that we've accounted for that. We can post the purchase invoice after if needs be, whereas in Sage 50 we were constantly chasing up and we didn't know what was missing and what was not missing. The paying of suppliers has been a lot quicker because, again, we can use the generate payments module, which is something new for us, but an absolutely brilliant thing because we can actually do it well in advance of paying the suppliers, knowing that all we've got to do is click a button. So we can prep it a week before we want to pay them. So that's gone a lot quicker. But to be honest, we can actually now finish our month end within 3 working days, 3-4 working days, whereas before we were pushing 5 and 6 working days. And again, the reporting just makes it a lot quicker. The reconciling, the balance sheet reconciliation's a lot quicker. Really good. Really good. So we're hoping to get that down to a T, down to 3 days, not 4. The scoping process with itas was really supportive. I had weekly meetings with a consultant to go through any issues that we were having, any training problems or anything we found that we needed training on. The knowledge that our consultant had in Sage 200 and even our business was absolutely amazing. The fact that the consultant took the time to understand our business and sit with us and go through things and talk through the processes and what we wanted, I think without doing that, we wouldn't have had the success that we've got now. We had a brilliant project manager on the team. For us, communication was absolutely great from the first stages, even down to us setting up a Gantt chart that gave us the days when we were having training. So we knew what the end date was and we could work back, make sure that we got the training. Again, although we did postpone for a short period of time, we picked that up again and we ran with it. The fact that we had weekly meetings with our project manager, that's a must for us because it was a form of feedback. Again, we understand that our dedicated consultant has other projects to work on, whereas if we'd got a query or a couple of questions, or we felt we wanted a bit more support on something, or there was information that we needed, by having the weekly catch-ups, that's what made it work. It's the communication element. You knew where we were, we knew where you were up to, and that's where it all came together, so we could actually go live at the end of July. The help guides we've used a lot and we're still using them now. What we, as a team, what we've been doing, or what we've started to do anyway, is to create how-to guides for all our processes within the business. So obviously we've constantly got cover if somebody is away from the office or whatever. But even with the training, with the best will in the world, you don't retain all that information. And to have the guides there, even doing month-end, period-end close-offs, to have those guides step by step in front of you is beneficial, because we can all close a process on Sage 200 now, but do we know the checks that have to go on before that? No, we don't. You don't always write those down when you're going through the training sessions, because the training sessions aren't necessarily down to that level, specific to that function. So the fact that we've got all those guides on the site was brilliant. What we actually did as a business was to download those guides, and we've put them in a little library on our server, so they're there for everybody to access. And again, even I access those at month end, just to make sure that I'm properly doing the process for a period end close off when we're doing the generate payments module. Again, we all made notes. Could we remember it when we came to do it? No, we couldn't, because it looks so different. As much as we're all wanting to embrace change, what we didn't want to do was lose the data that we send to our customers, and we wanted to keep that the same. So we could see that. We could see remittances that went to suppliers. We could see invoices that went to customers, which is obviously key. The data that was on those invoices, because with us working for the water authorities, the data that we put on our invoices is very key. So it enabled us to iron all that out before we went live, because what would have been a nightmare was to obviously go live and then realise we'd got all these issues with templates. We couldn't do things, but we ironed. I would say we were pretty much 90% there when we went live. It was important for EMS to have the historical data there, because we wanted something to refer to. We wanted something familiar that we could start to work with. Obviously, the opening balances had to be correct, because we've got to make sure that you've got an audit trail from Sage 50 into Sage 200. So your closing balances in Sage 50, obviously your opening balances in Sage 200. Because we use the sales order module, and we've got a lot of historic live jobs that were still live as of the go live date, we needed to have that information there, because we've got different departments accessing that. And obviously we knew that we'd get to a point with Sage 50 where we could obviously we could have it as view, but what you don't want is two separate systems with part data in one and part data in another. So the data migration of the historic information again was key for us, because we got ongoing projects. We're not a company that sort of pulls something off the shelf, ships it, and that's it. We've got a lot of ongoing contracts as well. So we needed that visibility for the different teams to be able to still access historic information so they can view going forward. The aftercare and support from itas has been absolutely brilliant. Was it the first month? We were still very much in touch with our consultant, who was reacting within an hour of us submitting a query, which was, again, for us was brilliant, because everybody wants something now. You know, everybody has an outcome for their day. They've got a role to fulfill, and whatever they have to do to get that role fulfilled for that day has got to happen. So the fact that we had hypercare from itas for a good couple of weeks, again, for us was a must, because there was still teething issues. There was little tweaks that needed to be made, and they were actioned very, very quickly with very little downtime for us. We then moved on to a support with a help desk. And again, we were using the help desk initially quite a bit, not as much as the hypercare. And obviously, as we've got more confident and we were ironing out further issues, although I don't call them issues, it's reporting tweaks. if we're finding that, oh, we could do with that little bit of data bringing into a report, can we modify that report so we can see that? Those are the kind of changes that we're making now. It's not so much a help, how can I do this? Because we seem to have all the resource there now that we know what we're doing. It's just, oh, I wonder if we can get this. I wonder if we can get that. And those are the kind of things that we are now using the help desk for, which is few and far between. So I would say the hypercare was a must, and we used it and we needed it and we got through it. And then the support desk, we needed it and now we don't need it as much. What impressed me most about working with itas and the team was the knowledge and the support that we gained, or well, we had from the start. From the initial picking up the phone right the way through to when we implemented to the support was unbelievable. The fact that we had a consultant that had a full understanding of a manufacturing business was a massive plus, because our consultant understood the challenges that we faced. He understood what we wanted to do. Somebody understood bill of materials and the subcomponents of the business. It's the support and the knowledge that's got us from where we were when we first picked up the phone to where we are now. Second to none, the support and the knowledge. I would recommend Sage 200 to any manufacturing business. We are an SME. We're a business that's growing, so the system is actually growing with us. There's scope to grow. The fact that we can obviously add on modules, the visibility of the data that is produced. Obviously, the information that goes in is key to the information that comes out, but it's a lot quicker. The information's a lot more accurate. The information's a lot more adaptable. And to be honest, for the visibility for the different modules, and especially for us as a manufacturing company, the bill of materials modules, and hopefully moving forward the material resource planning modules, that's going to mitigate a lot of issues for a lot of businesses, especially if they're working on projects and have to meet lead times and deadlines, etc. I would recommend itas to any manufacturing business, whether they're coming to Sage from previous Sage versions or coming into Sage as a new customer. I would recommend itas. itas have got such knowledge of the Sage products, the support that they've given us, the manufacturing knowledge, the project management knowledge, and everything about itas for us has been a positive journey. The good positive thing I got out of this journey working with itas was as a business, it made us look at the business, because we didn't realise we'd got an employee role issue and function issue prior to actually trying to fit EMS into another system. And having that discussion with our consultant, with my project manager, enabled us to go back and unpick everything that was going on in EMS with regards to a staff management process. And we were able to modify that, so it made the situation a lot more clearer for employees. And I think without us doing that with itas, we'd have struggled. We'd have probably been in the same position as we were prior to working with yourselves, and I don't think we'd have moved forward. How quickly people did adapt, considering that they thought they were never going to adapt to it. It's amazing how much resistance people do put up to change, but Now it's just like it's been there forever. So it's a positive change for us. Again, because people realise that they can do anything, and we can all change, and we can all grow with the business. How much different it was to Sage 50, considering it was the same company, I was amazed that there was so much more that a system could do in comparison to what we'd got, because we'd never ever seen anything else. I think I would never have known what to choose if it wasn't coming to itas. We'd have never have known what product to choose. We'd have possibly gone just down a manufacturing route. For me, Sage 200 gives the visibility of the reports that we need to produce for management strategic business decisions. And that's the biggest difference to Sage 50. The fact that we can produce valid data.